Welcome, everybody. Excited to have you here for this month's AI tool stack. If you're brand new with us, tool stack is really simple. I just cover with you the AI tools that I'm using this month. We spend a little time on that, and then we'll open it up for Q&A to ask questions about either why I'm doing something, why I'm not doing something, or other thoughts that you may have regarding that. If you're new to this world, you should probably know that I'm a big believer that any AI tool that you use can help you amplify your skill and experience and help you move a lot further ahead. But one of the most common questions that I was hearing from the audience was, Jonathan, what are you using? I don't know that it matters, but we're going to go ahead and share that with you guys anyway and kind of walk you through that. And this month, it's going to be a little bit simpler than most, as I'm doing probably 95% of all of my work in two different tools this month that are really summarizing everything that we're in. So again, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. If you go down in the bottom, you'll see the opportunity under React or Raise Hand that you can raise your hand. I'll call on you when we get to Q&A. And you're welcome to put anything in the comments as well. I do not spend a ton of time staring at the comments as they go through, but I will definitely try to do my best. And we actually do have Sherry Stockton on with us today, although Sherry is not necessarily expected to be co-host on this one. I'm going to go ahead and set her up. So Sherry always helps out and does an amazing job for us. So Sherry, you're welcome just to hang out. You don't have to do a thing, but if you want to, chat is wide open. So again,
I'm here
happy
for
to,
you.
oh, you rock as always. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's go ahead and dive on in and start talking about the main tools that I'm using. I'm going to clear my screen up here a minute so I can pull everything up and make sure I have the two apps launched I want to show you. Some of you will not be surprised. Some of you may be, but we're going to go ahead and show you. So there's a lot of tools that I use, and I'm going to try to cover the ones that I use primarily. But for most of the AI work and the things that we're doing, I find myself, at least for the last month, largely using two different AI tools. And again, I want to be really clear. You can use different tools. That's perfectly fine. This is purely to share what I'm using and what I'm finding to be super effective. So first, and no big surprise to anybody who's been paying much attention to what I do, I use Manus, and I use it a lot. Manus is a tool that was recently purchased by Meta. It's a unique tool in the AI market space in that it does a lot of different things. So Manus has got basic chat. Manus actually has an agentic feature, which is impressive. Manus can create images. It can create videos. It can do a lot of different things. So Manus is a very wide-ranging platform that does a lot. The one thing that most people dislike about Manus is, although I don't know that elephants actually eat peanuts, if they did, Manus eats credits as fast as elephants would eat peanuts if they were given the opportunity to. And what I mean by that is Manus is a credit-based system. So you do go ahead and get an account. Generally, you don't have to. You can get a free account and work off the free credits they give you every day, but you generally are going to have to buy an account, and you're going to spend money pretty much every time you use Manus. I use two versions of it. One, I use the desktop version that we're seeing here, and then I also use their agent a lot, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. I generally use their agent in the context of using it via Telegram. Telegram is an open source private messaging app that I can use. And the reason I like using Telegram is because of the fact that it works with my Apple CarPlay in my vehicle, which means I can actually be doing prompting and carry on conversations with Manus while I'm driving. And so I do like that, and I use that a lot. But even more so, I use Claude. I know a lot of you guys have love-hate relationships with different tools. I have found that Claude, for my work, and I do a lot of copywriting, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of planning, Claude simply does a better job than anything else right now, other than maybe Manus. I'm really happy with both platforms. And Claude has a co-work platform, which is true agent usage if you're looking to use that, and it can be a very effective way to start using agents. Agents, by the way, if you're curious, the main difference between chat and co-work, so just chat and an agent, is agents are capable of doing longer workflows, larger context, and following much longer instruction lists effectively. Just to give you a quick example, I did a training earlier today, and during that training, we actually set up a workflow Make sure this is the right one. Yep, this was it. We set up a workflow that included using multiple skills or processes that Claude was trained on. And we took two documents. This offer is about an 80-page document, and this dossier is about a 25-page document. This was for one of the students in my class, and her name was Carrie, and we put this together. This is an offer that she's launching, plus her company dossier, which is the information about her company. And I said, I want to run what we call the campaign production suite. And I want you to go ahead and follow through on that. And it did. And in the process of walking through that, it followed these 7 steps. So it read the offer. It then created a campaign, used the campaign architect, which is a separate skill that I have, to actually put together a blueprint for a marketing campaign. Then it used the landing page builder skill that I have to actually build out landing page copy and everything else for this marketing campaign. It then used the direct response copywriter that I have to write the email promotional copy for this campaign. It used a social media content engine to write the social media content for this campaign. And then 5, it used our branded imaging tool to actually come up with image prompts. And then, although it's not showing, once it got all done, it then created a comprehensive summary for me that we were able to go through and figure out. And this is a lot of work to have one AI tool do without babysitting it. And the beauty of running it through an agent here is I was able to run it through on my subscription. So it's not credit based like uh, Manus is. It's working on my subscription. And if you guys were on the training, you saw this worked for about 20 minutes, generated all kinds of content out of this, and created really good campaign blueprint, really good landing page. In fact, I'll show you the landing page here that we created a minute because I actually brought that over to Manus and had Manus create that landing page. Let's see if, nope, that wasn't it. Was it this one? I think it might have been. Yeah, it was this one. So here is an idea of the landing page that was created literally with AI based on the information we got. The only thing Carrie gave me these photos, so these are photos of Carrie that she gave me. And this is a landing page to help her sell her offer. This took about 15 minutes, and everything here was done with AI. We didn't make a single edit to this page. And all things considered, this looks really good. And the fact that I could create this landing page, design it based on the offer, pull all that together, and it really took about 2 prompts on my part to be able to make that happen, and about 35 minutes, to me, blows me away in the capabilities that these tools currently have. And so I share that with you because those are, again, using Claude and then using Manus together, like I did here, are just a very common part of my workflow and how I put things together. I know everybody's asking, Jonathan, what do you pay for these? So I finally just bit the bullet. I got sick and tired of Claude telling me that I was running over on credits. I was on the $20 a month plan, by the way, used that through all of March. And in April 2nd or 3rd, I finally said, never mind, I'm just going to spend the $200 a month and never worry about usage again. And so I'm spending $200 a month on Claude, and I spend probably about $300 a month on Manus. Now, before you go, Jonathan, that's crazy. You're spending 500 bucks a month. Yes, I am. And I'm getting literally thousands or if not tens of thousands of dollars of work done for that $500. So the things that it allows me to accomplish, that allows me to leverage. Most of you know, I believe AI is a tool to leverage your experience and your skill. And to me, it's a great investment for the return that I'm getting. So those are a couple of the major tools. Let me go into my browser here, though, just a moment, because there are a few other tools that I use for different things, and I want to share that with you as well, things that I find myself using on a regular basis. One of those is I create a lot of images for the content I create, and I use Midjourney to create most of those. You can see here is a recent series of images I was creating for a presentation I was putting together for training. And you'll see, wow, these all look like the same person. They're supposed to. That's what I wanted to have done in this case. And we're able to put all that together. I then often will use ChatGPT and use it for its image generation capabilities. I am not a huge fan of ChatGPT lately and some of the results I get out of it. I do love custom GPTs yet. And in fact, I use one regularly. I'm going to show that one here to you. Of course, it already disappeared. by the way, if you're using the left side menu, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world because it just shouldn't be this difficult. Let me see if I can find, here we go. I think, nope, that was not the right one. Bear with me just a minute here. I've been running a lot through here for training, so I've got to find out where we're at. Image request, maybe. I think we're here. Yes, we are. So this is a good example where I use it a lot. This is Gracie. This is what I was looking for. Let's go ahead and put that back in the sidebar. There we go. And I use this to create social media images for me. So I have a caricature of me that I uploaded. I literally gave it what I was looking for. And Gracie, by the way, is programmed with all my brand colors and fonts. And then it creates these really cool looking type images that I can do here. And it creates a lot of those. I'll go into my library and just show you some of those here that I've created. I guess it's not going to show me the preview anymore. So, but anyway, I use Midjourney or not. I use Midjourney to create the characters, and then I use ChatGPT to actually create the relevant images. Another thing that I use quite a bit related to that is Nano Banana from Gemini. So that's my second favorite tool for creating images. And I'll pop over here to a new chat, and I literally just click image, and then I create images here, and I'm able to create a lot of really cool stuff. We'll see if any of it shows up here in my library. Some of the images are coming forward and putting in so different ways that I can do that, but I love using that. Here's a good example. This is again a character that I created in Midjourney, and then I brought that into here. The reason is the character is created inside of Nano Banana I don't like as well. But again, just different ways I could do social media posts and things like that. And then what I want to share with you is two other tools that I've started using that I've never talked about before. So one is called Little Bird. So Little Bird, you can see, is actually running. It's recording this meeting right now. Little Bird is a note taker. But what I like about Little Bird is that it should keep recording while we're in here. Little Bird connects directly into my calendar. It automatically records things that are coming up. And you go, Jonathan, don't you have note takers for that? I do. But Little Bird also watches what I'm doing on my computer. So I can come over here and, for example, I could ask it a question. I know it's a little small here, but we'll make the best of it. And I'm going to demonstrate another tool I'm going to talk about called Whisper Flow. I do transcription. I don't type very up much anymore because it takes too much time. So, Little Bird, can you tell me what application was I using when I built the skills for my marketing mastery class? So notice in this case, it's not from a meeting. I'm literally asking it, what was I using? So it's going to look through, it's watching me as I work. Yeah, I know that's a little creepy, but it's really nice when I want to be able to find things. And it will come back here most likely in a moment. It's constantly getting improved. This is a beta product, I believe, right now. But it should tell me in just a moment that I was actually using Claude to do that. So if you ever wonder what app you were in or what tool you were using for things, Little Bird actually keeps track of that for you and shows that. While that's going ahead and working, I'm going to show you another one, and I'm debating which of these I'm going to keep. There we go. There's the answer. So based on what I found in your context, it looks like you were using Claude on your Max plan to build the skill files for marketing mastery. And here's some of the stuff you've done recently. He even showed me what dates I did and what it could see when I was doing on those dates. So what's neat about this is, again, for me, I'm an ADHD entrepreneur who can't remember things. I forget. I can come back at any point in time and find stuff really easily. Another tool that we use is, or that I've been using, is this one called Granola. And Granola and Little Bird are kind of in a face-off right now. I'm testing them both out to see which one I like better. Both have their strengths and weaknesses. And Granola is a really cool tool for, again, taking meeting notes, seeing what's going on, finding out where we're at. It can also work on my phone. What I like about Granola is that it has a direct integration with Claude, one of the tools that I showed you earlier that I use regularly. And that means that I can use my cowork agent to have a scheduled task, which I do, that goes through every night. You can see right here, daily Granola action summary. This actually runs every evening, assuming my computer's on, otherwise I run it in the morning. It pulls all the meeting notes from Granola from the previous day. It then generates a structured action summary of the meetings by reviewing all the transcripts, tells me the things I committed to do, the things that my assistant Desh can do for me, things that other people committed to do. and then literally works through this process. The neat thing about this is because it connects to Granola, I don't have to do anything other than make sure my computer's on, and this automatically runs, and it creates a pretty good action summary. So here's the one it created this morning. And you can see wasn't much happening this morning when it ran. It only had one meeting, but it does a nice job of laying that out and putting everything together. This then gets delivered to me every morning, gets delivered to Dash, my assistant, and makes life just a whole lot easier because everything is in one spot and it's automated, so I don't have to use and go do extra work on it, which I love. And then the last tool that I use a lot because I put together a lot of presentations for different reasons, and that is a tool called Gamma. A lot of you may be going, but Jonathan, why aren't you using NotebookLM? It'll do this, and Gemini will do this, and Claude will do this, and in fact, even Manus will do this. Yes, they all will, but I just like Gamma better, and so I use Gamma when it comes to creating presentations and that type of things. It has been super, super effective. One of the things I like about Gamma is that I can use my Claude or Manus to create my outlines for my presentation. And then I can come in and let me just find one that I did here the other day. I literally can go create this by just giving Gamma the outline. It then creates this entire presentation for me. As you can see, it's laid out nicely. It's got my logo on it. It's got my colors in it. Super easy. And it does all of this for me in a couple of minutes, which makes life really, really convenient. So, and then the last tool I want to talk about that's part of my tool stack that I use a lot nowadays is NotebookLM from Google. And NotebookLM is an incredibly different tool in that, unlike every other AI tool that we've talked about that really works based upon the training that it has, NotebookLM gives you the ability to create multiple notebooks, just like it sounds like, and you upload information into these. And this is a very easy way for me to keep track of things. So one of the things that I use, probably the notebook I use most often, is this is a notebook of all of the AI trainings that I've done. No, I can't share this with you guys. It's proprietary, but we use this in our customer support team, and I use this whenever people have questions. And because it has access to every training transcript of every training that I've done in here, I can go in and I can ask all kinds of questions, and I'm not going to have it hallucinate and make things up because it's not using public data. It's only using the private data that I have here. And that's really great. So let's just say, for example, somebody said, I want to get access to Jason, the GPT architect. What trainings was Jason included in? I can ask it a question just like I would ask anything else. And it's actually going to search through that. By the way, it'll take just a second because that's thousands of pages of content that it's going to go through. And it will literally, based on this, come up and tell me, here are the trainings that that GPT was included in. As you can imagine, that can be helpful for our customer support team. They get a lot of those types of questions. And here we go. So here it is. So GPT Launchpad, Google Gems training, our AI Command Center, our Whitebeard GPT reseller network, and in our AI Insiders membership. So if somebody wanted that and they were asking my customer support team or me, how do I get that? I can give them this list. And really quickly, these are all accurate ways that they can pull stuff in. The other thing that's cool about this is they have a studio process over here, and it allows us to create all kinds of things, including some really cool infographics. Whether this is a really cool one, I don't know. We'll take a look as it pulls up. But literally, based upon just the information that I give it and a prompt, I can create custom infographics. These are great for presentations. These are great for social media. I absolutely love Google Notebook LM, and I use it a lot for that. The last thing that I use it for a ton is actually for training. If I want to learn about something and I'm trying to learn something new, I will use their video or their audio feature to go ahead and explain what's going on. I'm going to see if I have an audio file. I have a lot of stuff I've created in here, a lot of video, not so much audio in here. Here we go. So if I want to learn something new, instead of going ahead and doing a lot of research, I will have NotebookLM do the research, pull that in, and then create a summary. So this has created a products versus service monetization something, I don't know what. I'll play it here. You'll hear just a moment of it. I'll play about 30 seconds of it. You can hear it uses an AI voice and everything else to summarize, in this case, what was over 6 hours of training and videos and content into a 14-minute overview that I can listen to while I walk or drive.
Welcome to the debate. Today, we are diving straight into one of the most critical strategic decisions that, well, entrepreneurs are facing in this age of generative AI. How do
I won't listen to the whole thing, but as you can hear, that's a good AI voice. And the neat thing is I can create these in minutes by picking a new topic, bringing in data on that topic, and then having it create an audio overview targeting exactly what I want. So those are the main tools that I'm using on a regular basis. I do use others, but that really summarizes the vast majority of the tools that I'm using and where I'm putting my time. So now I'd love to answer your questions about how I use them, what I do, or what you guys could do. Mark, you're up first. What's on your mind?
Hey, good day to you, man. I've seen you several times today, it feels like.
I don't mind at all, and it's
I
good to
don't
see
mind
you,
it
you know.
either. That's a good day, right?
It is. What's on your mind, sir?
Um, so I've been using Manus. I just bought Go High Level,
Congratulations.
and thank you. And I chose to use Manus to build it out for me,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of interesting. Went and got the API key and stuff. Here's the issue I'm finding with Manus. When you do a lot of work on it, it seems to start losing its mind. So, despite the fact that I'll go back to a project and say, let's pick up where we were or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
it gets confused. Like I'm having too many projects that I'm working in. Do you run into that? And have you figured out a solution?
I start a lot of new chats in Manus. I don't tend to run them a long time, so I haven't run into that. I do have like in every AI model, I do occasionally run into things and it's like what happened to your brain? Did you just like forget to use it? Doesn't happen often. When it does, I just start a new chat. It's that seems to fix it every time. But I don't have super, super long discussions in Manus. I do have some that are fairly long. I mean, they're not short. Um, but yeah, I don't. The only spot that I'll have really long conversations, and what I might recommend there is instead of using Manus, use the Manus agent to actually set it up because agent has persistent memory. And if you use the agent to set, then it will remember stuff much, much, much better than chat will, I've found. So,
Are you able to show me your screen and how do I find
sure,
a agent in Manus?
I would be happy to. Let me pull that
Because
up,
I think
share
I've
my
just been
screen.
using the other one.
Yeah, and again, that's where you can get some benefit there. So let's go ahead and get out of this screen. So if I go into Manus, this is your normal screen when you start off, Mark,
Right.
and you can do the normal things. I get to choose my models here. Again, I generally stay on the middle model at 1.6.
Yep.
But if you click right here in Agents, and if you haven't set it up, it will then give you the opportunity. Now, mine's already set up, so it has it, but this has, and more than will show here. But I've got multiple projects that I've worked through here. My agent has generated well over 5,000 pages of content for me based on what I've had it do in the last month or more. You can see it's going to continue loading and go back up. It's built websites for me, landing pages, all kinds of stuff, helped me rebuild my Linktree page. So the thing that's neat though about the agent is that it has persistent memory. In other words, anything you tell it, it's not going to forget. It also supports skills, Mark, which you've heard me talk a lot about,
Right.
and that I can create customized skills to do things. And the benefit of the agent here is the agent can take over your computer and it can actually do things for you. So you can actually have it connect to different applications and all that. So it's a really powerful way to use it, and that might solve your problem that you're running into with it forgetting, kind of what it's doing and losing its mind.
All right. That sounds awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, try. Great idea, by the way, using it to help you set up high level. High level is really not hard to use, but if you don't know it, it's like any new application. Trying to figure out where to go can be a nightmare. That's a really good idea. I like that.
Yeah, it
So
worked
Create a
well.
skill for it.
awesome.
Create a high level skill that you can use with Manus. It'll make it better.
Yeah,
Or Claude.
that that would
Oh,
be
good
that would be a
idea.
great idea. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks,
One of
Joe.
the things
Great
that
idea.
both Claude and Manus do, by the way, that's really helpful is you can do work and then you can say, oh, this was really cool. I want to turn this into a repeatable skill. And they will take what work you did, the process you followed, not necessarily the facts, and turn that into a repeatable workflow, which is really cool. All right, Betsy, you are up next. What's on your mind?
Sorry, getting my
Not a problem at all.
unmuting
How are
myself.
you doing today?
Thank you for having me once again. My head continues to spin.
Well, that's all right. That's we're here to try to help it stop from spinning, or at
I
least to spin
learn
level. How's that?
I learn so much from you every single time, and
Well, thank
I'm like,
you.
I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. So, and I put this in the chat, and Sherry sort of responded to me. Everything you're doing today is awesome, but I'm wondering if, and maybe you don't have time, but I was wondering if there's a way that you could walk us through sort of a use case or workflow. So, like you say, you start with Midjourney to create the characters, and then Gemini to create the images, or Chat or Nano Banana.
Yep.
Like, can you kind of walk us through that
Sure.
what that workflow looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Let's share my screen and let's go ahead and create a new post. I'll just walk you through one that we're going to post because I've got plenty of them to do. So let's go ahead and we hop over to Evernote. So I use my AI agent to create thread-based posts and things that I want based on talking points. So let's see here. Here's a good one.
I'm sorry,
So
how does Evernote factor in? Do you know
it's
the
just where I
answer?
put stuff. Yeah, good question.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't always explain. So when my agent creates stuff, it creates local files,
Hmm.
and I don't like going back and finding the file all the time and keeping it open. So Evernote is just a note taker tool that I've been using for like 20 years. It does
Okay.
have some AI capabilities, but it's not material other than you can see I've got lots of notes over here that it allows me to kind of organize really easily.
Okay.
So what I had this is actually from yesterday, but yesterday my Claude cowork created it found some talking points for me based on the research it does for that for me every day. It then came up and said, here's some thread-based posts. They're all written the way I like to have them written. And I just copied it into Evernote so I could do this later. So
Gotcha.
here it is. The entrepreneurs already running AI agents are not waiting for permission. They're lapping you. So let's go ahead and see what I would do with this. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to Chat GPT. Let's see if I've got it running, and I'm going to use Gracie. If we can get back to Gracie and see if it's saved. There it is. So there's Gracie. Gracie is a custom GPT that I've created that has all my brand information in it. That's really all it designed to create images, but following my brand. So it's got my colors, my preferred fonts, things like that in place. So when I go to use Gracie, I'll typically say, I need a social post image using the attached character's likeness for this post. And I'm then going to literally just paste in the title of that. That's all I need to do. And then you may say, well, hang on, you talked about some attached character. Where does that come from? That comes from Midjourney. So I'm going to go into Midjourney and I create, as you can see, lots of different characters. That's just kind of what I do. So let's just say I want to grab something specific. I like these. We did these for something. So I'm going to grab this clown and I'm going to grab that clown picture. I'm going to come back into Chat GPT and I'm literally just going to paste that into this prompt that I'm putting in. And because it's trained on what to do, it's going to now analyze my post. It's going to use this image. It's going to create a 3:4 aspect ratio because that's what I've told it to do using my colors. And this will take probably 2 minutes, but it will now use this character, not necessarily that whole image. It may or may not, depending on what it chooses to do, but it'll use the character. If I had it do this without me giving it a character and I describe this clown, I would get a very different looking image than I get with this one. I'll let this load up here a minute. I like the quality of this image. I can see the hair really clearly. It's still an animated figure, almost a claymation type thing. I like it, but I can almost feel the fabric and the hair and all that. So I like that just from a personal perspective. That's the only reason I do that, Betsy. It's what I like to do. And then I'll come over here and it's going to balance the colors. And while this is thinking, I'm going to go over to Facebook because I don't like waiting. So we're going to go over to Facebook and we're going to add this as a post. So there's my, oops, not the image. Let me grab my text. So here's my text here that I'm going to put in. I'm going to go ahead and add my little down emoji. So that's pointing down. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and see if we have our image. Not yet. We'll wait not so patiently as I'm not going to do this well. And then what's going to happen as soon as we get the image, I'm going to copy that in. And then Betsy, I'm going to take those thread posts that I had there in Evernote, these here, and I'm going to paste those in as comments. So I'll just copy that to get ready for a minute. I have my own internal system. I turn it orange after I've used it. That way I still have it, but I know I've already used it. And we'll wait here just a moment. Hopefully it'll come back up and tell us where we're at. As if you guys have been with me before, you know that when we do things live, everything slows down online. It's just the rule of thumb and how things work. I also have the same thing in Nano Banana, Betsy, that I use, and it works the same way. I just come into Nano Banana and run a gem that is pre-programmed with everything. And there we go. So I've got my image. I like the way that turned out, kind of made it look good. So we're gonna, it misspelled. I'm not gonna worry about it. It'll increase engagement because somebody will tell me that I need to check the spelling on my AI generated images. So that's fine with me. I don't mind. I'm going to share it to my group real quick and I'm going to post it and then I'm going to go into the comments. I like doing thread-based posts because they get great engagement. So I'm going to come in here. We're going to grab in my content. And what I'm going to do is very quickly, just to make it a little bit more readable, I do mine with the initial and then a prompt. That's just how I've got mine programmed to do things. So I'm going to add a carriage return in each one of these real quick, just because then it's there. I'm going to now copy the whole thing. And now, so I can post in order and have multiple comments, we're just going to press cut enter. And now I'm going to cut up to 3, enter, 4, enter, 5, enter. And just like that, I've got my post and my 5 things in there. And now that that's there, I'm going to go into AI prompts for entrepreneurs where I also just posted it. And you can see here it is right here. I mean, I use a clipboard manager you can see popping up on the bottom called paste. You don't need to do that one, but it's just a clipboard manager that gives me lots of flexibility and it makes it easy so that I don't have to go back and re-copy and paste all this. I can literally come over here and just, again, same thing. There's number 1. There's number 2. Here's
And
number 3. Go
because
ahead.
Facebook is Facebook, there's no way to use AI to automate this. What the stuff you're doing now, right?
You could use an AI agent to do it, but you're risking getting your account banned by doing so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't do that because I don't really want my account banned. Keep in
Okay.
mind, Facebook is arbitrary and capricious. Their AI algorithm is more arbitrary and capricious. And so, yes, I could have Claude, I could have Manus, I could have Perplexity Agent, I could have OpenClaw do this. I'm likely it's going to get noticed. And if I do that, then I'm going to have a problem and I'm going to lose it. So I've just tried to develop systems like this that let me go from start to end really quickly without having to take a lot of time, if that makes sense. So
It
I'm
does.
using AI to automate some of the content production and that, but I'm the one that's still going in and commenting in that. But that's the workflow that I generally use. And that's pretty much exactly what it looks like when I post. Now sometimes I will use a different template. Sometimes I'll just use the basic Facebook stuff like this. Other times I will go ahead and use Canva. And let me find one here. There's a Canva one. So I just decided to
Mm.
keep it interesting and move it around a little bit. Is that the workflow? Does that make sense? Is that
Mhm.
helpful?
Yeah,
Awesome.
that was super helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Absolutely. No, great question. All right, Steve, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was next. It's just an observation, really. I've been in Notebook the last 2 days. I don't know if anybody else is having the same problem. I've never had a problem with the infographics, but they've been spinning more than what they ever have done, and not producing it, or I've not been able to produce as many. And I've I've been doing some slide decks work for Sharon, and
Hmm.
I've had trouble there as well, which I've never had. I don't know if this is a just because there's more users using it, or I know you're probably going to say you probably need to go up to the next level, but I haven't had a problem before. I've been able to do my work with no real issues. Occasionally it spins, but nothing major.
Yeah, my guess is just probably capacity issues that it's running into due to more people using it would be my guess. I don't know.
Right.
Rumors are that Google's got another major announcement coming out, and we see with pretty much all the platforms prior to doing releases, we end up with all kinds of performance issues, and that seems to be kind of universal between all of them. I've experienced it with Claude and with Manus and with Gemini and with ChatGPT. So pretty much across the board, I've seen that. I don't know exactly though, Steve. I haven't run into that. I do use it to create a lot of infographics, but I
Yeah,
don't
me
use it
too.
to create a lot of slide decks just because while you can edit the slides now, it's still not as expedient as doing it in like Gamma. The slides that it creates in NotebookLM are really cool, but
Yeah, they are.
I always have to edit them, and it takes me like 10 times longer to edit a slide in Notebook than it does to do in Gamma. And that's why I'm still using Gamma because it's just it's
Okay.
faster, if that makes sense. So
Okay. I mean, perhaps it is. I have been overdoing the slide situation more than normal, so perhaps that's eaten into my time
yeah,
on there because I've never had problems with infographics. I can do 8, 9, 10 on the trot, and I've never had a problem. But
yeah,
today, it
they
allowed me
do have
two.
some they do have some limits, and they're probably again happening due to just usage. The one thing I found that helps out when I'm doing infographics, if I do one at a time, I never seem to have a problem. But if I start doing multiple at one time in multiple notebooks, then I get slapped by Google telling me, "Oh, you can't do anymore because you've maxed out or whatever." So I found if I do one at a time, and I don't know if you're doing one at a time or doing them
I am.
in parallel. Yeah, okay,
I wasn't, but the last 2 days I have, and they've spun a lot. Literally, I've had to wait for them to unspin.
sure.
It's failed, so get rid of it, do it all again, and it's span again. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I had a
Just
good
never
answer for
seems.
you. I haven't
No,
run into that, but I know OpenAI has been taking longer to create images. It's one of the reasons I've been using Nano Banana more. One thing you may want to try is go over to take that notebook, go to Google Gemini, Steve. Take that notebook as a source file in Gemini. Let me just show everybody how to do that real quick. So if I go into Gemini, one of the cool things is if I go into Gemini, I can go ahead and bring a notebook in as a source now. So you can go in here and add a source of a notebook LM, and I'll go and bring in my trainings here. And let's say now I want to please create a infographic using the following color palettes, 3D cartoon animation characters, to provide an overview of the wonderful websites training for a user who has not participated in the training. So I'm calling out a specific training that I
okay.
just did. So it'll just to prove it works. I'm going to grab in my brand information here and I'm going to move it from fast to at least thinking. But now, because I'm using that same notebook, Steve, as my knowledge, it should create infographics here without any limitations to speak of. It may not be identical to Notebook, but I've had really good luck with it. This is something I've had occasionally. It's like its own notebook said that it was too big. We'll see if it does it or not. It looks like it is still working, but
Okay.
I've had this come up a couple times lately. And it is a big notebook. I mean, there's probably 10,000 pages of content in there, but there we go. It's going to try it. It's going to give us our specifications. Let's see if it
I'm
actually
guessing you can't
creates
drop
it.
this into anything else. It's got to go into Gemini. Yeah, you can't drop it into Claude or what have you. No.
Yeah, you no, you can't. The notebooks cannot
Okay.
connect to those
Okay.
directly. So let's see if it will create the infographic now, and we'll give it just a second. But again, you may find your way around some of your limitations by using
Yeah.
Gemini to do that directly. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be my best advice. We'll give this
Thank
just a second and see if it gives us anything or not. If not, we'll move on and we'll answer a couple more questions. Tell you what, I'll come back, Steve, because this will
you.
be
Yeah,
like
that's fine.
watching paint dry, but we'll show you what it looks like as soon as it comes up on the screen. Good question. All right. Next, we have got Annette. What is on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan. You may have said this, but I walked away.
That's
You
okay.
mentioned whisper flow. Why do
Oh, yeah.
you prefer that versus just a normal dictation?
Good question. Yeah. And I was mentioning I was going to talk about that, and I didn't. So by default, you do, let me be very clear, you do not need Whisper Flow.
Mhm.
Whisper Flow is basically AI enhanced transcription. Whether you're on a Mac or a PC, you have transcription service built into that computing device. So you can use
Mhm.
that. The difference in the reason I use WhisperFlow is because my brain works oddly and I don't always speak in coherent sentences. And the benefit of using WhisperFlow is it records the whole statement that I'm going to say and then uses AI to clean it up. So if I'm talking along and saying, Annette, no, I mean Suzette, no, I mean Annette, no, I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, Annette, it'll then clear all that up to just go, Annette, and it'll clear all that up in the conversation. So for me, I find it to be really valuable. The other thing, I'm notorious for starting to transcribe something but not have clicked in the right box to do it. In other words, I'm in Gemini and I forget to click in the Gemini prompt. I'm moving between, excuse me, multiple monitors, and I'm just having a hard time putting that all together. And with WhisperFlow, it saves a log of everything that you said. So when I do that, I can just go copy paste it over because sometimes I'll talk for 2 minutes and then it's like, oh, drat, I forgot to click in the box. And so I lost that 2 minutes. It didn't go anywhere. And with WhisperFlow, I now haven't lost that. I can literally just copy and paste it from the app over. So those are the two main reasons, the AI enhancement and just the fact that I sometimes forget where I'm clicking and then things go in the wrong area. So
Okay.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
those are the two
Awesome.
two reasons I like it. I know there's some others on the call that are using it too. But
Mhm.
yeah. One thing I want to mention, and this just came up, something I saw made me think of it. If you guys want to auto post social media, like I said, I don't do it because of the violation of terms of service, but if you're using a third-party posting service like High Level or Hootsuite or Buffer or something like that, you can connect your AI agent to those tools, and your agent can go post from when it creates social media into like Hootsuite, and then Hootsuite can post, and Hootsuite uses the Facebook API and can help out in some of that. So that can be a solution depending on where you're at. Steve, we got that infographic. It looks like it messed up a little bit for us, but let's go take a quick look here. One in that it basically threw in one of my colors, but I could edit that out in Canva pretty easy. And you can see it did pretty much what we wanted: define our goals
Yeah.
and strategy, design our blueprint, create the content, construct the website. It gave us a number 2 here. So it wasn't perfect, but just like with NotebookLM, sometimes it's not perfect when it comes through.
No, yeah, yeah, that's fine. And I use Whisperflow as well for your kind of reasons, and I love it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks.
Nicolette, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Hey, hi, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm great. How are
So,
you doing? Good to see you again.
yeah, it's busy time now, tax season.
Oh, I
So,
bet.
I have a question. You mentioned that you have your computer stays on. What do you do to make your computer stays on for the agent to work, or what do you do?
I just work 24 hours a day, so it's always on. No, I'm kidding. That's not quite true. That's not quite true. I do try to schedule it for times that I'm automatically going to be working anyway, just so that it's there. And
Mhm.
I've really tried to schedule it around times when my computer's naturally on. You can leave it on, and that's fine. There's different tools you can do it to tell not to go to sleep and that type of thing. But as a general rule, I've just scheduled all my tasks during times that 90% of the time my computer's on and running at that point. And then if I miss it, both Claude, Perplexity, and Manus give you the ability to run it now manually. Just say, I want to run this task now, and then I'll do that to get caught up.
So you would have to get a specific tool to have the computer stay on if I need
Yeah,
to, for it to
it's
stay.
in your if you're on a laptop, it's in your computer settings. If you've got
Okay,
a desktop, it's easier. Laptops use power conservation to shut off more frequently, but there are settings that you can do to tell it not to turn off. You just have to get into your
okay,
settings and basically tell it don't go to sleep. Most
okay.
computers nowadays are programmed to go to sleep to save electricity, but you have to
Right.
tell it not to do that, and then it will just
Okay.
stay on.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just put a Chrome extension in the chat that
Oh,
keeps
thank you,
your
Joa.
it's called Caffeine. Keeps your computer
Oh,
on.
yeah, caffeine used to be
Okay.
an app. I didn't know they had a Chrome extension now. I used that a lot when they had it. It was great. It just like you said, it keeps the computer running. So thank you, Joa. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for
All right.
sharing.
Next, we've got Ina up. What is on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan. Always a great session. I
Thank
would
you.
love to know, I guess your like use cases in terms of I'm using Claude a lot now rather than Chat
Hmm.
GPT. Like you've got Claude, the chat, and then you've got co-work, and then you've got Claude Code, which I've been using now on Visual Studio Code, like to build. I've managed to build the whole command center now to
Nice.
script from Fathom that goes in there, and then I can then generate like extract action items and ideas from it and then create content ideas. But I'd love to know, like, I guess I haven't used Cowork much a lot. When would you use Cowork? When would you use Claude Code? When would you use the other Claude? And also, like, you've got the Claude Chrome extension as well. So it's like there's so many.
Yeah, where do you where and when? I still use my regular chat a lot, and it's typically if I'm not doing a multi when do I move to co-work? Do I have a multi-step workflow? In other words, something that's going to require me to generally babysit the computer because it won't move on effectively, and where I need or something where I need that persistent memory, or something that I've shared with it, I need it to remember across a long session, not a short session. And so those are the two main reasons I'll move to the agent. The other thing, I should say one more. The other is if I need to schedule a task to happen regularly. It's the Cowork does the best job of giving you task scheduling capabilities, and so I like that. There's another reason to use it though, and that's if you ever want the file saved locally to your machine. Cowork, when it produces content or anything, it saves those files locally to your machine in a folder that you set up. And that can be beneficial in certain circumstances, obviously, to have those local files versus making you go and download that or do whatever. I don't use code a whole lot. It's very powerful, but Cowork suffices for my needs, and so I don't go there. There is a fair bit of overlap between what code can do and what Cowork can do. In other words, they're different, but they have some similarities. And
Mm.
I've used code a bit, but I just haven't found many things that I can't do in Cowork really easily. So as a result, I haven't used code very much. If I did more development, like what you're talking about, I would definitely be using code more because it's really a great tool when it comes to development.
Yeah.
Sherry can probably add more value than that because Sherry, I don't know if you're still with us, but you use code a fair bit, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I haven't recently, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Well,
And would you agree there's some crossover between co-work and code, but code's really it runs into
probably
its own when you
not.
no, okay. But really if you're
No.
doing development, that's really where code just
Yeah.
excels.
Yeah. And I break it down this way, right? Because of the app, the Claude app gives you those three things if you have them enabled and you're on a paid account. Um,
Mhm.
the Claude is great for conversations. Yes, you can generate some web pages and stuff like that with it, but you wouldn't use it for a complex solution. So it's really about conversations. Co-work is about tasks and doing things on your
Hmm.
computer
Good way to
for
look at it.
you. Yeah, and then
Okay.
code is about creating applications that you're either creating for yourself or you're creating for someone else. That's where the complex solution comes in. That's how I
Yeah.
break it
I mean,
down.
that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I've been spending a lot more time on Claude Code and just building that.
I love it.
With,
I
with
love Cloud Code. Do you have it set up to with GitHub?
Yeah, so yeah, I've got
Okay,
it set up with
good,
Git and using
good.
Vercel and Space
Yes.
to deploy.
Oh yeah, me
So
too. Me too.
that
Awesome.
like a bit, my whole command center slowly, and because at the moment like I was having transcripts in Google Drive and then I have to copy and paste it and then put it
Yeah,
in.
I probably wouldn't use it that way though. I would just use Cowork for things for doing tasks and managing things, right? Uh, think about AI as doing interpretations and making decisions and things like that, where applications they work the same way every time, just like an automation. Applications they do repetitive things. They do exactly what they're, well, unless you have AI pieces in it, then it's a bit of a hybrid. But uh, this was one of the things I had to explain to Morris because Morris wants to use AI for everything. And I'm like, well, but you can't use AI to do complicated calculations because you won't always get the same answer. It will interpret things. So I told him if you want something that's going to do calculations, you either need an app or a spreadsheet or something along those lines. But if you're doing
Amazing.
things on your computer and stuff like that, then it's a little bit different. I hope that makes sense. I'm a
It
little
does. Thank you
rambling
so
a little bit.
I
much
call
for sharing.
Sherry in when the
Thanks.
water gets deep, if you haven't figured that out by now. And so thank you, Sherry. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
I
Sure.
needed that. I
Thank you to
needed
you
that
both.
life preserver. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Next we have up Isaac. What's on your mind?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. What's on your mind,
Yes.
sir? Good to see
How
you
you
again.
doing? Good to see you. I have a question regarding the agent. I don't know if we can do that with Manus or Claude. Like sometimes you have a lot of emails, in your inbox, like for Gmails, for instance,
Hmm.
and you want to delete some of the emails. They get so much email sometimes that accumulate. And can you do that with the agent, like Manus or Claude, and
Both of them
connect
actually.
that
So yeah,
to
both
switch
both of them allow you to connect like your email inbox, your calendar, all that type of thing, and it can go through and do things for you. It can help organize. It can straighten things up. It can, I had to go through mine recently. I'm terrible about completing my tasks, and I often have multiple tasks that say essentially the same thing because it's like send Isaac an email and don't forget to send Isaac an email and don't forget to send Isaac this. All that really meant the same thing, but I'd forgotten I'd already put it there. So I had Claude Cowork go in recently and literally go through and analyze all my open tasks and consolidate them so that if it sounded like it was the same task worded different ways, it just consolidated it and then updated my task list. And I got rid of over half my tasks just by that. And I didn't have to do it. Claude did that for me. So yeah, and Manus would do the same
Yeah,
thing through their agent. That giving them that access is really helpful to set that up. So absolutely something you can do.
sure. So that's something that you have to, and you have to specify exactly what it has to, because you don't want to erase some of the emails that you want to keep.
Yeah,
So
you definitely want to, you need to give it specific directions on what you want
okay,
it to do.
sure.
Um, for example, when I do it, I had mine when it deleted anything to actually in messages, I actually created a separate folder and had it instead of deleting it, I had it move all the emails that it thought it should delete into a folder. That way I could just open up the folder and take a really quick look and go, yep, these are safe to delete. Didn't take me very long, but I didn't have to go through and filter them one by one now. It went through and got rid of a bunch of stuff for me, and then I approved getting it deleted that way. So just think that through because if you tell it to do something, Claude in particular is pretty careful, Manus less so, Perplexity less so. If you say go do this, it's likely going to go do that, even if it doesn't necessarily, if that's not what you wanted and you misstated it, then they don't
I
care if
see.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaac. Good to see you again.
Thank
Glad to have you
you.
here. Next, we've got up Craig. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for having this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned Mid-Journey. Now I've worked with that in the past. Maybe it's been 6 months, but
Okay.
in the past, I found it really difficult to actually steer like the direction. Like I would tell it to do one thing, it would break two things, and then fix one. It was just constantly this
There is some
constant.
of that,
It's
yes.
like and then also just the settings in it were so intricate and you have to like okay if you know these special camera lenses then you can get this so I guess how what are the tactics that you're using to steer your designs are you just kind of like oh I like this person's design and do you kind of bring that in or like what do you actually like or maybe you could go even through an example if it's quick enough can
Sure.
you hack
Yeah.
quickly a mid-journey character.
So keep in mind that my Midjourney characters that I do all tend to be 3D cartoon style because that's the brand image that I use. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
you have to, but I've created tens of thousands of images with Midjourney. And what I've learned is as follows. When I need to create something, so give me an example just so we can pull this on through and make it make some sense, Craig. Give me an example of a person in a situation and an emotion that they're expressing.
Like for me, it's mu music industry, so maybe like just somebody in a band. I don't know. An
Okay.
emotion. I don't know.
So
Euphor.
what
I
we'll
don't
do
know.
is no, that's good. So how about this? 3D cartoon animation of I need to put my character in here. So my character, my person is going to be a 45-year-old male band member. would help if I can. You'll realize why I don't type, because it takes a lot longer than when I talk. So that's the first part. The 3D cartoon animation, that specifies what I want as far as the picture. Then who is it? A 45-year-old band member. And then in this case, I'm going to say expressing anger, smashing a guitar, and then dive bar background. I want to type this, so I'm basically specifying emotion, action, background, if that's relevant. And then I'm going to end it in this case with inspired by leading cartoon animation studios. Hang on, we'll talk. Studios, Blender rendered, and volumetric lighting. So I've learned a couple of these things that just work well. So the 3D cartoon animation, pretty much on every one of mine. Then the character, the emotion, any action, background, and then this part's almost always identical. Inspired by leading cartoon animation studios, Blender rendered, and volumetric lighting. Based on that, I set my, it looks like a 3x4, so let's just go ahead and run this one a minute. Now, based on this, I can start narrowing it in. So if I said, well, I did a male, let's change this to a female band member, and we'll do the exact same thing. And then let's try one more. And because we know with Midjourney, we're going to get white people, period. It's just what happens. So if I want to have any different ethnicities, I need to specify that. So I'll throw in here, I want a black female member. And I might or might not get it. If you haven't used Midjourney a lot, it's been trained on lots of stuff over the years, and that means it definitely has some biases. So here we go. So I've got my characters. You can see the smashing guitar bit didn't come through on any of it. The anger, kind of, based on the way they're doing things. This guy looks like he's playing drums and doing that. Got some different female characters. But you asked a simple question. I can take the same mode here, and instead of 3D cartoon animation, I could do something like photo of a 45-year-old black female band member expressing anger, smashing guitar, dive bow background, inspired by, and if I don't know, I could say something here like Peter McKinnon, who happens to be a YouTube photographer that's really talented. And, I could say in this case, and we'll do the same volumetric lighting. So I have a couple of those phrases that I use on a regular basis, and you'll see here now we're going to get similar, but this time it should be photorealistic. I could then take that exact same thing and I could do, instead of photo of, I could do ink drawing. Now I should have changed the inspired by, because that's going to make a difference here. But we're still building these out, and you can see these are coming in much more photorealistic in style. And then I'm going to do an ink drawing, and it looks like that's going to come through pretty good. And then I could do another one, which is, let's say I wanted to do impressionist painting. And I'll get rid of my inspired by Peter McKinnon.
Are you going to show him how you can use character reference to get?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we should definitely do that. So you can see I'm getting different styles here. But let's come in and let's just pick one of these and say, man, I like this, or I want that to show up more. I like that drawing or that character. I can take that. I should grab one of the photo ones. That'd be better. So let's grab this lady here. She looks unique with the sunglasses and the short hair. I can go ahead and take this image and I can save it. And now if I want to do something similar, get consistency, I can go ahead and do the same type thing. This time we'll do the ink drawing, but I want an ink drawing of her. I'm up under add images. I'm going to upload her as reference. And now in just a moment here, I'm going to click Omni reference and I'm going to pick her picture. And it will now go ahead and create, if it's working the way I want to, it's going to create an ink drawing, but it's going to look like this woman right here. and all four of them should look pretty similar. Let's give it just a moment here and see what happens. And I follow, to answer your question, Craig, I just follow a very similar format and I just change things like I did here. So it's change the style, change who it's inspired by. But my prompts tend to be really simple because that way I find I can get fairly consistent results out of things. So in this case, we're not getting exactly what we wanted. I wanted an ink drawing. I'm not really getting that ink drawing. Sometimes that happens, but you can see at least I'm getting character consistency. This looks like the same woman across all of those images, at least at least these three kind of do. This one a little bit
Yeah.
less so. The other thing to be aware of when you're using Midjourney, just know that you're going to throw at least half the photos and they're not going to be what you want, or images, because they're just not going to be what you wanted. It's just the reality of pulling that in. But those are some of the things I do, just to give you some perspective. Hopefully that makes sense.
Sure. Thanks.
Absolutely. Next we have up Annette. What's on your mind, Annette?
Hey, Jonathan, I have a question about maintenance to
Uh-huh.
GHL. So I
Okay.
have GHL, but I really like when maintenance creates my pages, my landing
I do
page
too.
websites, and I'm like, and I've tried to get it over to GHL, and it looks nothing like the one in Manus. So is there a way to do that where it's like
Have you
exactly
tried
what
it?
it is?
Have you tried it with their new AI page builder at all in GHL, or have you just tried
Yes,
rebuilding
yeah,
it?
I
Okay, you
did.
have. I found that
Mhm.
that works pretty well for recreating stuff. If that doesn't work, then my next solution is, let me share my screen here. My next solution is to go into Manus and let Manus create what I wanted to, and then
Mhm.
create the connection back to high level. Let me show you what I mean by that. So let me go into Manus here a minute. And I think it was this one. Yep, I think so. I have to wake it up. It decided to fall asleep. Actually, here, I'll find a better one. Uh, Bear with me here. I just got to figure out which one had Mike in it. I think this is it. Nope. Bear with me here. Let's go to my library. It'll show up here faster. This is what I wanted right here. So I created this in Manus. I've got a presentation coming up with Mike McCallowitz, author of Profit First, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, all that type of stuff. So we've created some characters. And if I look at this one, so when I pull this in, this is all in Manus. This is hosted in Manus right now. But if you come towards the bottom, and by the way, this form's not active, but this is a GHL form. So I actually have an embedded GHL form here in that is going to be linked directly to high level. So this is a Manus built website hosted on Manus with my own URL that I've attached to it. But if somebody fills this out, which is what we have it designed for, it automatically goes into high level. This is a high level form that I've just embedded from high level using their embed. I'll show you that in a moment. And then you can see that Manus kind of made it look pretty. I think it looks just fine in here. No big deal.
Mhm.
And what I did on that one is if I go under sites and forms, here we go, forms, and look at recent. So I created this, hang on, where was it? There we go, for Mike McCallowitz, there it is. So here is the form I created. Now I'm in high level right now. So this is a high level form, super simple. And then I went to integrate up here. And under integrate, I wanted to integrate it inline, so in a form. And I want to do the embed code. And I literally just say copy embed code. Now I give that code to Manus and tell it embed that form in the website. And that's all I did to make this happen. So it's the same form, but notice it's prettier. It's added some stuff on top. It's just made it fit in much better and that type of thing. So this is a lead magnet that we'll be using after that seminar that's already now been built out. But instead of rebuilding it in high level, I was going to say their AI tool tends to do a pretty good job of doing that. But since it's already done here, we'll just run it in Manus and have the form and this form will automatically bring everything into high level at that point from a data perspective. So our automations and everything else. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, does it track like clicks and all of that in Manus or no?
Yeah, you can track, you can have any type of analytics you want brought up in
Okay.
that. So yeah, you can have that. The only thing it doesn't do easily is like A/B testing. So if I was trying to do A/B testing, excuse me, that's something that high level is going to do a much better job at.
Okay.
But again,
Okay.
one thing you might want to try, and again, I've tried it. They just last week released their brand new AI web page builder, and I found it does a good job. If you give it a design and say, make this pixel per pixel match it, that I've had really good luck with it doing 99% of it, on track. So
So you just
um,
put the URL in there and tell it
I
like
give it a
magic.
screenshot actually, but you could do
Okay.
either way. One of the
Okay.
things I'll do is I'll go into Firefox. There are other tools too, but Firefox has a great not just screenshot, but actually page shot. So it'll take a screenshot of the whole page, even the part you can't see. And so I'll use that to create that image, and then I'll upload that and tell it to match that pixel by pixel. And it does a good job.
Okay, great, great. I use Go Full Page for that and
Okay,
it does.
same. Yeah, there's different ways to do that, but yeah, just
Okay.
grab that full page screenshot, and I think that'll help you out. So
Okay. All right, I'll do
awesome.
that.
Thanks,
Thank you
Annette.
very much.
Appreciate your question. Absolutely. All right, and Ina, you're back up. What's on your mind?
So I've created a lot of custom chat GPT using JSON
Hmm.
from your workshop, which is awesome. But I've had some people who have used that and have sold some. They're asking me if because they're starting not to use chat, and I'm just wondering, have you found another way to create those custom chat GPT elsewhere?
So there's a couple different ways you can do things. You can create them in third-party tools like FormWise and others that will do that, and then they can be embedded on your website. You can then define what tool works in the back end. You can create them as a gem inside of Google Gemini. The downside of that is that your IP is more visible. It's much easier for people to find out your training data and all that. Or you can create them as skill files. So Claude, Manus, Perplexity, they all support AI skill.md files now, and you can do that. The downside to the skill file, they're really powerful, but you're giving away all your IP because it's literally just a text file.
Exactly. So with Gem and the Claude scale, you're pretty much giving away all the IP. What
Exactly.
other wise do you recommend?
Um, so there's FormWise, there's Pickaxe, and there's one more. Trying to think. Joe, are you still on? I think you may use it. MindPal, I think it's called. I could be wrong on that. I think it's called MindPal.
Yeah, I love
So there's
MindPal.
okay. I thought you were using that one, Joe. Yeah. And am I right, Joe? That's similar where we can create a custom GPT type thing and embed that onto a website. Am I correct on that?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. So there's
All right.
another option
So,
for you to do that. The benefit of a MindPal, FormWise, Pickaxe is the fact that you can really control virtually every aspect of it, including who gets access and all that type of stuff. The downside is that you're going to pay for usage via the API. And so you're going to have API costs that you have to incur at that point.
okay. So in addition to basically what you built, they also charge per usage.
Correct. Yeah, because their ChatGPT is basically giving you the usage of your custom GPT because it's getting people to their platform. The other ones, they have to connect to an API. They can connect to either ChatGPT, they can connect to Google Cloud, they can connect to any of them, but there are limitations there. The good news is most of your customers, then, if they don't want to use a platform, they won't know what the underlying platform is, so they probably won't be bothered by it. It also gives you
Yeah.
options to do platforms that you might not otherwise do that are out there. So there's a lot of different options there.
Yeah. So I think for like if it's like a free one, I'll probably because then I would have to then pay. So I might consider using MindPal or Formwise or that if I'm actually starting to sell it or charge it.
Right. Well,
Because
and then you
otherwise,
can you can look at like OpenRouter. They have a couple of tools that are free that are on there that are free APIs They're generally not as powerful, although I just wrote a post about one the other day. I can't remember the name of it. It's supposedly on par with like Claude Sonnet and GPT 5.4 and that, and it's currently free to use. Won't probably stay that way, but it currently is. So.
Okay, how does that work? Is that you can use that, specify that with MindPal in that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so what you do with those you're connecting to an API, and OpenRouter, if you're not familiar with OpenRouter, is just basically a source for all kinds of them under one account. So it's really easy. You pay them a 5% premium when you buy your credits, but other than that, there's no extra cost. And it's just an easy
Okay.
way, and you can switch models in a moment because you just go into your OpenRouter dashboard and you switch the priority of the models. So I'm using that, for example, on my OpenClaw installation. I use OpenRouter's API because I can switch models really quickly if I start running out of usage on one or anything like that.
Yeah. Is it free? You said it's free.
It's free to set up, but you do pay a 5% premium. You have to pre-buy your credits, and you pay a 5%
Okay.
premium when you do that. So if you'd pay $5 to OpenAI, you're going to pay $5.25 to OpenRouter, and you'll get the $5 in credits, but you'll pay them the extra 25 cents for the convenience. But the convenience to me is
Awesome.
worth the 5% because they make it very easy to manage. I think the other thing that you can do in OpenRouter is you can pick multiple models with a failover. So you can say start here, but if my usage is out on that one, go to this one and then go to this one. Or use it based on the task. I want you to analyze the task and I want you to use the lowest good solution there is. So if it's something really simple, it can use a very, very cheap model, and then it'll use on another task that's more elaborate, it can spend more time on that elaborate task.
Yeah.
So you can save quite a bit with API that way.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Craig, you're back with us. What's on your mind?
Yeah, just one more question.
Sure.
I switched to Claude as my primary like a few months ago. I've been very happy with all of its capabilities. But I know you've shown Manus, maybe you've been using that more heavily, and now maybe you're starting to use Claude more. But I guess my question is, what would you say, like, what's the use cases that I should definitely be using Manus? Like, I don't want to like add tools if I don't really need them,
Sure.
but if it's getting me like 90%, like what are the use cases that I should really be exploring Manus for, and what are you like, I would never do that in Claude right now, or it's just not really realistic in Claude?
The biggest difference for me between the two is there's a lot of similarities, but I don't like building web pages out as much in Claude as I do in Manus. And because I'm doing a fair bit of that for landing pages and stuff, even though I've got my marketing team that's generally implementing it, when I design a campaign, I'll typically design it with a Manus designed web page and I'll send it to them and then they'll implement it appropriately. So I think Manus is easier for that web page design and that type of stuff. It's probably a bit more expensive, but it's so much faster and easier that I like that a bit more than I do Claude. You can do that in Claude, but I prefer doing it in Manus. Copywriting, Claude has a slight edge in my mind. It's a little bit better. Manus does a good job, but I like Claude a little bit better. And research, I think that Manus is probably slightly stronger, but I rarely need the extra capabilities to get what I'm looking for. So Claude's deep research works just fine for me 99% of the time.
Yeah, I typically will go to like Grok or Perplexity for the research side,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I use Perplexity a lot for research stuff. I didn't talk about it a lot today, but yeah, I do use that a lot for research. So
Cool.
awesome. Good question. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today on ToolStack. I hope this was valuable. We try to put these together just so we can answer questions and share. Replay will get sent out to all of you because you registered, so you'll get the replay here in a few hours. If there's anything we can do for you in the interim or anything we can add value, please hop on over into our Facebook group, comment, let us know. We'd love to have you there. And yeah, I think I was going to mention, some of you I know are into high level. Let me go look at my calendar. We do have a high level. I don't remember if it's this week or next, but some people had asked, so let me go check real quick. I can't find my calendar, of course, when I want it, so we'll have to open up a new tab here a minute. We are doing a high level training next week, Thursday. So if you guys are interested, though, it's also free. You can register online. It is the 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're talking about managing your reviews, your online reviews with High Level. So I know some of you guys are interested in that. You can join us there as well. Yeah, thanks everybody. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks everybody.